I've got something a little bit different for you this time. A friend of mine has a Mark 1 Golf GTI that it currently needs restoring, but we've had a problem with the engine on it and it's not running. We actually figured out the problem was this little thing here. Now this is a Bosch Jetronic fuel distributor system. Now, after a bit of investigation and finding out who can actually do them and restore them, we actually got a quote of nearly £700 to fix this. So what we did, we decided that we were going to have a look at it and we're going to try and figure out what the problem was. Now, inside here, underneath this, is a little sliding pin that basically it floats up and down in there to control the amount of fuel that goes into it. Now, we found out that unfortunately it was actually stuck and wedged in. So we've actually rebuilt it, completely rebuilt it now and got it all done. And the next thing we've got to do is we've just got to test it and test the pressure we want through this. So I bought this kit here. I've already taken this out, as you can see, but this basically, it's a fuel testing kit, testing for the pressure. The bits that you can need out is obviously this piece here and also these two here that come in the kit. If kit wasn't too bad, I think it was about 80 quid for this kit. Well worth the investment. So, but basically we only really needed these two bits and this one. We did opt for the digital one because I think it's a little bit more accurate to register pressure. Anyway, don't need the rest of that, so I'm going to move it. Now, in order to test the pressure on this, what we need to do is we need to take this pipe off here. This one goes off to the 5th injector through the cold start system. So for now, we can disconnect that, which we just take it off like this. So you can test this while it's on the vehicle to see if you've got the correct pressure running into the vehicle. It's very simple. So you take the 5th injector part off. We then attach this end here onto here, like so. And just make sure it's nicely tightened up. There we go. And then the other end, just quite simply, goes onto under this. So we're just going to connect that up. Again, this is normally done on the car, but because we've got this off, we found it easier to set up a bench test for this to get it right. So let's get that screwed in there. And then give it a little bit of a nip up. Right, there we go. And next thing we need to do is we just need to put this somewhere where we can see where it's going to be. So I'm just going to hang it on there for a minute, like that. Right, then we can turn this on. Now we've got it set up. We've got the 4 injector pipes attached, and we've got them going into the jar. So we can also check at the same time what our levels are as they're going up. And we've also got the fuel return on. So we're going to start this up, which we've made this little circuit here so we can turn it on and off. We've got it connected to our fuel pump. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to change position so I can sit down and I can show you how all this works. So basically what we want to do is have this in the open position to start with. And you want to set it to bar, which it's now set to bar on that, and then we can turn it on. So if we now turn this on, let it all prime through. And in a minute, it should start reading the pressure. There we go, now it's going up. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to lock this off and we're going to check our holding pressure. What we're looking for is somewhere between 5 and 6 bar, although at the minute I do appear to have a little bit of a fuel leak just down on here. I'm just going to tighten this up slightly because we've got a little bit of a fuel leak down here, which means it's not quite seated properly. It is quite important to make sure these are nicely done up properly. There we go. They're all good now. Right, let's have another look. Okay, so we've got the tap now here turned off and we're going to check our holding pressure. There we go. Let's open it up to allow some more fuel to run through. Okay, there we go, that's the running one, and now we close the tap off. Oh, it also helps if you remember to put your fuel pipe in your tank, a bit like that, because otherwise you're not going to get any fuel pressure coming through.
But you do get a lot to the gallon.
You do get a lot to the gallon if you don't connect your fuel pipe up, although you might be worn out because you might actually have to run a little bit behind the car to push it. But that's fine. Right, let's have another recheck on that one. There we go. There we go. So now, as you can see on the meter, we're actually running at 5.5 bar. I'll open this up to full throttle now. We've got a holding pressure of 5.3 bar, which is exactly where we need to be. When the fuel tap's open, it feeds into the cold start. It's also got a slight drop in pressure, but that's perfect for where we want it. You can also see as the jars are filling up, we've got a nice equal flow of fuel going in. Now, the only problems we can see here is I think we're going to have to replace our fuel injectors because we haven't particularly got a good spray pattern going on with them. Yeah, so we haven't really particularly got a good spray pattern to go with them. So we are actually going to replace the injectors. Anyway, we can now turn that system off. So yeah, after this, we know now, I'm happy, we've now got this running and it works perfectly. The only issue we've got now is we know that the fuel level is quite right, so we don't need to make any adjustments. But we do need to replace the fuel injectors, unfortunately, before it goes back into the vehicle. Now, the reason why we're keeping an eye on these levels here is because while it's off the vehicle, we can also then readjust them if need be. So all we do is use a small Allen key and we take these out, take these plugs out. That also gets in, there's a small Allen key, and if you turn it backwards and forwards, you can adjust how much fuel goes through. Luckily, we don't need to make any adjustments on it. So this is our homemade bench test system for testing the Jetronic fuel distributor after the rebuild. This is actually a service that we're actually going to be offering in the future, is the rebuilding of Jetronic distributors. Now, because they don't just fit onto the Mark 1 Golf GTIs or Mark 1 Golfs, they're also used on the old Fords, like Ford RS Turbos, XR3Is, XR2s had them. There was a lot of Porsches used this system, Mercedes, some old Audis used them. There's a lot of vehicles that use this, whether they had a 4-cylinder like this one, or whether they even had a V6, V8 or V10. I think there is actually some V12s that use them as well. And we're going to be offering a rebuild service to rebuild all of them. And what we're going to be doing, when we offer that service, we're going to be doing testing before we even start work on them and giving a report on our findings. We'll also ask to have the injectors sent and the pipes so we can check the injectors at the same time. And we'll also, if need be, offering a rebuild service, because sometimes as well, it could be something as simple just as a fuel pump that's not working properly, and that makes you think there's an issue with the fuel or an electrical problem. Not always the case.